not feeling this because it's so heavy. Though what's really okay, I'm just like jumping straight into it, but I'm starting with this week's astrology. We're going to talk about some things. There isn't until thanks Queenie. Hello. But basically what I have this week, because we are gonna have a Pisces new moon on Sunday, but I'm gonna go over that more like Saturday and like have the chart for that. But and possibly talk about it more when I do the viewers reading later, because they have some interesting stuff that's gonna line up with it. But what I'm gonna talk about first is what's going on this week. There isn't like, how can I put this? There isn't like huge shifts, like things going into other signs and stuff like that this week, or like the full moon isn't happening till, I mean, new moon till Sunday. Your fish. Everything is almost in fish right now, to say the least. That's what I want to talk about. We are having a huge pileup of Pisces energy, and you can see it right here. All these sitting up here in Pisces. Very cramped. A lot of... Okay, just let me describe Pisces energy. There is like, you know, the scale, like the good and the bad. The good is very compassionate. It's wanting to seek something bigger than yourself, like having meaning to what you do. It's also in its highest sense, like unconditional love, like that divine love that doesn't judge. It's almost like the love that the mom is supposed to have for her child. I'm not going to say the love that the mom has for her child, because there have been plenty of times where the mom does not have the love, but like the love that is considered the love between a mom and a child, like that kind of like unconditional love. It's like those things plus like bonds, but in the sense where it's not like an owning bond, it's like a merging bond with somebody. Hey, Orboro. So having all this, plus, you know, the extremes of it, which is escapism, trying to, source of mom energy. There's this big grandiose sense of delusion and trying to get away from your problems, because Pisces energy is a very sensitive energy. Because what happens with Pisces energy is it doesn't have boundaries. So a lot of times what happens is everything just kind of seeps into Pisces energy, and it's like you have to learn the hard way to have boundaries with this energy. And we are learning the hard way to have boundaries with this energy, because Saturn's in Pisces, and Saturn's all about your boundaries and delaying gratification for things that you want unless you do the thing it wants. So it's very that way. But basically, one thing to really be careful of with Pisces energy, especially with the escapism, there is such things as like substance abuse with this kind of thing, but it's not just substance, it's literally anything you use to escape, whether that is like television or food or anything that, like, you know, the too much of a good thing. Anything you do with that in excess would be Pisces, because you're trying to get away from something, which is why it's so important to have willpower and to have the, how can I put this? It's like learning to stand up in the places where you feel weakest. And that's very hard. Especially like, because wherever you have Pisces in your chart, because we all have it, even if you don't have signs in it, you have a house that is ruled by Pisces. Pisces is sitting somewhere in your chart, just like how it's looking in this chart. It's sitting somewhere. Wherever you have it is where you have like this weakness to either developing codependency with things, or you have this need to like how should I put this? It's like you have this need to be connected so badly that you give up like yourself in the process. And it's like, you know, that's the downswing of it. The upswing of it is just you're very like loving and very like nurturing and very like unconditional with how you see things. Like say like if it was like say this chart was your chart, right? And you had it 11th house, you would have this energy towards your friendships. You would be very unconditionally loving towards your friendships. They would bring this sense of something bigger than yourself. Like the friendships you would make, they would expand your view on things, possibly like be spiritual or religious, because that's another thing that Pisces rules, which is kind of neutral. It depends on what you do with it, the religion and spirituality and stuff. It can go either way. But it's also going to be where you might make friends that have like addictions, or like you might make friends where you guys have codependent relationships and like there's not really good boundaries. Like, you know, it goes either way. So all of these things are what's being focused on very heavily this week, because there is so much in Pisces, and it stays in Pisces. We're in Pisces season having all this, and by the time like the Sun and Mercury is going to move out of Pisces during March, but when that happens we're going to be having Venus and Mars trying to move up in there. So it's like we're trading things, and Neptune and Saturn are just freaking staying in there. So this energy we're going to be feeling in every aspect of our lives, because each planet's moving through there, and it's going to feel very murky. Sometimes it's going to feel like we are very confused, because that's Neptune energy, this confusion and not really knowing what to do, feeling like things are foggy at best when making decisions. And we also have Mercury that's in Pisces. So this is our communication. This is our ability to write. So if like you're doing emails, if you're texting, if you're signing contracts with things, it's like there's so many things that could be hazy, could be foggy, that could go wrong, things that are like glanced over that you don't think are important that end up being important. Because even though Pisces is very like unconditional, like energy and like all this stuff, not judgmental, that also can lend to not being too savvy with what underhanded things people can do. This is where we are naive. So it's really easy in this energy to want to be naive, to want to be trusting, and just like not like double check things. But for your own good, double check. Even if you feel you can implicitly trust somebody, double check things, because it's just the energy we're in right now. Same thing, Mercury energy goes with, you know, it rules Gemini, and Gemini third house energy deals with like cars, siblings, things like that. So this could be motor trouble, because Mercury's not too happy in Pisces. It's kind of washy. So just be checking up on those things too. It's just a little side note. But also in this is the Sun. The Sun is our ego. And when I say ego, I'm not like, let me just say what ego is. Ego is our defense mechanism that we develop from very young to protect ourselves from situations that either make us uncomfortable, that are painful. It's like this whole thing that we build in order to protect ourselves. Now, when you have like an unhealthy, unchecked ego, you just have a bunch of traumas that are dictating your life, is basically what it is. That's what it comes down to. It's not like this being bigger or better than another person. A healthy ego understands that it is important to have boundaries. It is important to have confidence in yourself. Like, ego has its place. It's not like you're supposed to just kill ego. There is a very healthy place for ego that we all need as humans, because we are not these like freaking divine beings that like have no like sense of free will and just always do the right thing. Like, we're messy humans. We are gonna make mistakes and do things, so we need these things. What's important is gauging where you are with it. Having it in the sign of Pisces deludes it a little bit. It can either make people be very self-sabotaging and just believe they are worthless, you know, the sliding scale, like not being able to see their worth, not being able to see their value, and sitting in a victim mindset where it's like everything always happens to me and I have no control over anything, like that kind of thing. In the other sense, it can be like this thing where like being all powerful, all knowing, and like very grand delulu kind of sense like that. But in the best sense, it would be acting on the ego part of, you know, having healthy boundaries because it's close to Saturn. And being able to extend your love without judgment and fear, because that's a lot of things that happen with our ego is we do things out of fear. And if we're able to do things out of love in this energy instead of fear, things will work better. But a lot of us aren't going to be able to do that because we're going to be feeling like slightly psychotic. Hey Ruby. So that's pretty much like, that's just the Pisces energy by itself. That's just that. There's nothing else. That's just literally what we're dealing with just what's happening with Pisces just this week, like the start of the week. Because I have like 3 charts that kind of like gauge the energy like throughout the week, like a Monday, Thursday, Saturday, so you can kind of get like a beginning, middle, end feel. But hi bae. So moving, like, of course, I'm gonna keep saying how things connect to the Pisces. I haven't talked about aspects yet. We were talking shit. But, this is gonna keep being brought back to because everything's aspecting it. So, another thing we need to realize is while, you know, it's not enough that all this is in Pisces, making us be very, like, introspective, very because Pisces energy is water. Water energy is very emotion driven. So you're gonna feel the depths of emotions you have not probably felt your whole life with this transit, and it's gonna be very irritating because while it's happening, it's not like you just have that. You also have the North Node and Chiron conjunct. You cannot escape the healing that is happening to you right now. It is like being forced upon you in this very emotional Pisces energy. So if you are not a crier, you're probably crying. There's no escaping it with this. Like, you're being forced to look at these wounds that you might have ran from throughout your life. And it's like, last week it hit its crescendo, so whatever was gonna pop up, things probably started popping up if it wasn't already hitting you before last week, because you're gonna feel it building to it. But it hit its exact last week. So whatever came out of that, you're probably still reeling and trying to deal with the emotions of whatever happened, and new things are probably branching off of that because you're realizing something else is connected to it. It's very deep. And it's not, it's like, it's those things. It's the whole reason why Pisces energy, 12th house energy, is connected to escapism, is because it is so much. It's like literally all of this pain hitting you at one time is going to make you want to run away from it. It's going to make you not want to deal with it. Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't understand why you're emotional. You don't understand why you're always hurting. And it's like this constant feeling that's not going away. And you're like, I'm not usually like this. This isn't me. Like, some people, it might be them if they're like heavy water, where they're like always in their feels and always in their emotions. But people that have heavy air, that have heavy earth, even heavy fire, even though fire is like more passionate, they can still feel the wateriness sometimes because they're pretty, you know, impulsive, but they're not going to be feeling as deeply. Their feelings are going to be a little more on the very fast in and out kind of feeling, as opposed to this deep lingering feeling. So everyone's gonna do this differently. Now, people that have heavy water might be navigating this a little easier because they're used to feeling all the feels. I live, see this, Queenie, like, I live here. It's like, if you're used to this, what's gonna happen is it's probably gonna bring out talents and stuff that you haven't been doing, because it's like, if you're really used to this energy, you're like, I'm used to being in my feels all the freaking time. What's probably happening is you're tapping into things that it's like, oh, I want to try this. Oh, I want to try this, because Pisces energy is very creative. It has like this flow where you just do stuff, and the more you don't judge your creations, the better they come out, because it's literally that whole feeling of not judging things with Pisces. It's on the axis with Virgo, and Virgo balances out Pisces because it is the judgment. It's the one that like creates discernment. So that's why, like, they are on the same axis. They're on the service axis or they want to be of service to other people. But Virgo is going to heal in a more physical manner, more down to earth, more practical. They're going to be more discerning somewhat, even though they can still be very self-sacrificing, just like Pisces. Pisces isn't going to have that. They're just going to go in gung-ho and like give everything everywhere, and it's going to be a lot less practical and more like a lot of emotion, like get the emotion out. So if you are like, I don't want to just say if you're heavy water, because you can be heavy water and still feeling it heavy through this, but if you are heavy water, or you're used to Pisces, like you have Pisces, a lot of 12th house energy, what if you're healthy, like you've been working through it, like you've been really like, say like going to therapy, if you've been really like trying to do like the work to like heal through like the really gnarly stuff in your life, that's where it's going to put you like ahead of the other people that have been running from it. Because it's like not everyone is working at the same pace as everybody else. Everyone like, you know, attacks their problems. Some people never attack their problems and just leave them there and like stay that way their whole life. You know, they'll, you know, that's their thing. You know, they do what they do. I think way too much to do that. I'm in a constant state of existential crisis because I think way too freaking much. But this fellow fish. But with, like I was saying, with this North Node Aries and Chiron Aries conjunct each other, this is a very personal wound around our identity and what we feel we can accomplish and what we can do in the world, our motivation. It's like the thing in our past that just cripples us and makes us feel like we can't move forward, and it like zaps us of our motivation, is what's being thrown in our face over and over again in different ways with this over here. So let me talk about some aspects to all this Pisces stuff. We have some nice ones, but just because they're nice does not mean you can willy-nilly with the nice things. If you willy-nilly with the nice things, it's too much of a thing, and once again you're in that loop of doing too much. So first thing we have is Jupiter. Now Jupiter is sextiling Saturn, the Sun, and Mercury, giving it a nice boost. Now sextiles are these opportunities to explore things within us. It can be exploring talents within us that we have, like, you know, left by the wayside, which is a really good use for this energy. It could be a way to make money because Taurus rules money. Jupiter's in Taurus right now, and having Saturn in Pisces is like bringing your ideas down and grounding them. So if you're able to bring your ideas down and then find a way to make money with them, what if it's a creative project, good for you. But if you're able to do that, it's like it's in this energy, like very easily, like tapping into your talents, building something from your talents that's concrete, that stands the test of time because of Taurus, and really aligns with you because it's Pisces. So it's like, it's really good for that. And it also has a sextile. Not Saturn though. Saturn's a little wide for it. It's kind of still in it. It's very loose. But with Uranus, we're having all these, and Uranus is actually sextiling Neptune also. Like Jupiter's a little too far away to be sextiling Neptune. It's going to get kind of crazy when that happens because Neptune is all about bringing the Delulu to everybody, and Jupiter's all about making it bigger. So I would not be surprised if when that sextile happens in the world, we see a great amount of Delulu just like erupt into this into the space. So like not my space, no, not here, but I'm just saying like out in the world. Like I am not gonna erupt in Delulu here, but that's pretty much like something we can see because Uranus is very like unpredictable energy. It literally comes in to shake things up. That's what it's here for. If it's boring and humdrum, it's not doing its job. So in Taurus, because Taurus is like our physical goods, it's our money, it's our security, it's our self-worth, you know, how all those things are connected together, a lot of shakeups with that. Now, since it's sextiling, this is the opportunity that we have to have these shakeups happen in ways that are really good for us, like things that shake up our perception of like our value we have of ourselves, especially if it's not that great. It's like a lot of things that just kind of come in and pile on and show us, hey, we actually are like really good at this. And like, instead of having, I know I have been struggling hardcore with imposter syndrome. And I know I'm up here talking to you guys, telling you all this stuff about astrology, and I've been having these crazy like existential crisis imposter syndromes around the fact that I don't know enough about astrology to be teaching it. Like, I'm telling you, this stuff makes you go like into some places that are not fun, but it also like throws things at you like this would not be happening if you weren't in a place to be doing it. And I think that's the whole thing with this North Node that we're dealing with Chiron. Like, if you're not supposed to do it, if it's not your thing, you wouldn't be able to do it. And I think that's what it's throwing in our faces a lot, is that if you're able to do the thing, then do the thing instead of doubting yourself. And I'm like really needing to take this advice hardcore. But like, just because I get up here and talk to you guys about this stuff does not mean I struggle any less than you guys. I am still human. Just because I know these things and can look at my chart does not mean I'm not over here having an existential crisis if like what I'm doing is the right thing or not. And that's what I struggle with a lot, is like, is my motivation and my stuff aligned with the right thing? And that's what I just struggle a lot with that, because I don't know, like, I have a lot of deep personal reasons to not be like a certain thing that I saw growing up. And it's like, anytime I feel I can even be slightly in that like area, I become like very dark, and I like need to pull myself out of it. And everyone needs to realize that they're human, and when you go to dark places, it is possible to pull yourself out. It can be very hard. You might have to cry a lot. I'm not a freaking crier, and I've been crying so freaking much. I don't... I'm telling you. I want to be able to teach you guys, and like, one thing that I feel is really important, if anyone is feeling like this huge imposter syndrome around what you do, it's really important to look at how it makes you feel to do it. Like, if it's something that makes you excited, and the reason you start getting imposter syndrome is you're looking at other people and seeing where they are while they're doing the thing you like doing, and like seeing that you're not there yet, just try your best to pull yourself away from those people and realize they have had the time. A lot of these people that are doing the thing you want to do have had the time to sit and learn to do the thing you want to do. And you are finally on a path where you can start doing the thing you want to do, which is so different. It's like you don't have these years or however long they have had to get this under your belt yet, and you're starting it. Just because you're starting it doesn't mean you don't deserve to be where you are. And that's really important. Don't let other people's experiences invalidate yours. And I'm saying this to myself too. But that's the kind of energy we are in right now, and it's very deep, and a lot of people aren't going to have the people to talk to about it. They're going to be really feeling isolated, because Pisces energy is very isolating, because it puts you in a place where you're like, I don't think people want to hear about this from me. It's like, this is a lot. Like, who wants to hear about all this like literal deep subconscious stuff? And that's also a problem too, because Venus and Mars are still conjunct. They're getting a little further away from each other, but they're going to stay pretty close traveling together until at least something goes retrograde and like backs off from each other. But they're traveling together, creating this thing where Venus is our relationships, it's how we love, it's our, once again, bringing up our self-worth and our value, because, you know, rules Taurus, which is why I brought that up with Taurus. So we're having a square between the planet of bigness in Taurus over here and the planet of Venus. This is making it harder, because what it's either doing is making this big well inside us, like by ourselves, if it's not coming from external. If it's inside us, all of these things we're being met with that we need to work through, that we need to heal, that literally go to our self-worth, are being like made bigger. And that's something that we need to realize right now, is that some of us are probably seeing through this lens that makes things magnified. And if we like step back and we're a little more objective, because that's what Aquarius needs. It needs you to be objective, and Venus is in Aquarius. So, and Pisces is not objective. It is very much all the feels all the time. So like having this big, huge energy that's just forcing you into feels when this tough aspect is telling you, hey, you need to be objective, is like this, is like a rubber band smacking you every time, because it's just, you can't get it and it just keeps hurting you. And so don't be down on yourself if you feel very stuck in this energy right now. It's gonna feel a little better once Venus finally like kind of scoots a little further on and Jupiter isn't like squaring it, because it's making it big. If it's outside of you, if this is not like an internal thing that's happening and like like your environment is pretty peaceful and it's good and it's just a lot of internal struggle and feeling very isolated, what it could be outside is you have people that you have these relationships with. It doesn't have to be romantic, but it's these people you're close to, people that bring you a sense of security, that are doing either things in a big way or emoting in a big way. They're doing something in a big way that makes you feel like you can't have security with them. It's like this abrasive, big feeling that I can't be secure here. And it's like this feeling of running, like that ghosting energy with Aquarius, the detachment, leave kind of thing. Like, should I stay? Should I go? Could be happening in a lot of relationships. And it's very scary, because this could be stuff that's like, these could be relationships that are good, but you're battling a lot of inner demons right now. So it makes it seem like the relationship is bad. Or it could actually be a bad relationship that's showing you in very big ways that you should not be there. A way you can see this is, once again, you need to be objective, sadly. And it's very hard when you're in the midst of it, especially with this energy. It could be a bunch of just fighting that's happening constantly. And it seems like nothing's going anywhere, and it's just getting worse and more unpredictable and like more volatile. And it's like, obviously out in the world, we can kind of see this is happening with a lot of different areas. Like, I have not been in the loop, I'm gonna be honest, because I've been working through my own crap. So I haven't been watching a lot of news stuff. The little bit of stuff I have been seeing is not pretty anywhere. There's like so much crap happening right now, and there's a lot of people predicting crap's getting worse because of the stuff that's coming up. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. But at the same time, it's like, whatever crazy psychotic crap is happening out in the world, you, as much as it doesn't feel that way, because the sun is in Pisces up here, as much as it doesn't feel that way and you want to be like, man, I'm a freaking victim of circumstances. It's like, as much as you want to do that, you have to find your power in there. That's Pluto in Aquarius. You have to find the power that you have, and you have to be able to center yourself around that. Because, how can I put this? There might be outside help, but it wouldn't be what you're thinking it would be. If you were to get a big boon of outside help from someone with this energy, you have Uranus in there that's going to be causing, and it's an even tighter square to Venus. What that's going to do is make something unpredictable happen. Like, say you go to someone that you really trust to loan you some money so that like you could get through something. Now, what if something unexpected happens to that person, and now the money they loaned you, they actually, it's like, it can get very messy. It's like they can need it back, or they can get very emotional about something. You could get very emotional. There could be a third party that gets fucking emotional about the fact that you're getting money from somebody and tries to sabotage it, because, you know, sabotaging energy is Pluto and Pisces energy. So it's like that jealousy's there, because Venus It doesn't just rule love, it rules like the spectrum. Like I tell you guys with everything, there's a spectrum to it. It rules that love, but it also rules jealousy. So if we're having this square, any kind of envy or jealousy or other things you're feeling towards people will be brought bigger. It'll make those insecurities come out when you're dealing with like these certain people, or when you're just feeling personally triggered, whether like you're watching like a show on TV, or like you're just reading something on the internet. You could scroll by a post of something and it just triggers you and makes you want to go crazy in the comments. Like this kind of energy, it just makes things bigger. So it makes your triggers bigger. It doesn't, it's like all of it. So if you're feeling like a situation, a person, something dealing with you is just way too exaggerated, way too out of control, allow yourself the grace to step away from it as much as you possibly can. That's the only way you're gonna be able to pull the like heavy emotional body of yourself out of it and be able to like look at it more objectively and be like, okay, how much of this do I actually really need to keep? Because we're going to be moving into Aries season after Pisces season, which is the calendar start of the astrological year. Because, you know, everyone has their new year. Everybody has a different new year. For astrology, it's Aries season starting everything. So it's like a clean slate. So things you want to like get out of your life, healthy habits that you want to start, do that in Aries season. But the things that you want to like kick out of your life, like say like a bad habit you like want to drop, do that now, because it gives it permanence. Because we're at the end with all this Pisces energy, and Saturn's very permanent. It creates like this structure around what you're doing. So as much as it may feel very, very difficult, because it's a lot easier in this energy to want to either lay in bed, to not do anything, to vegetate. Like it's very easy to just shut things off and want to only listen to music, or like just drown out the world and not like do anything, especially if something feels painful and you're feeling these painful it's very easy to be like, nah, I'm just not gonna deal with this and this energy, because it's just loud and it's painful. It's not how can I put this, it's not like this kind of soothing thing where you're sitting there and you're like at peace and you're calm. And it's like, this is like you're sitting there and you have this nervous, fidgety energy, but you also feel like you're disconnected, like in a sense from your body. Like you feel very floaty, and it's like, I just don't feel like I'm here right now, and I feel very uncomfortable. And then it's like your emotions are very wishy-washy. It's like, it's not very pleasant. So the best thing for this kind of energy is to do what the opposite axis, like the because this is like a lot of Pisces, the opposite would be Virgo, to do a lot of things that are very Virgo like, to like ground yourself. Because one thing that I do, like obviously this isn't going to be like an everybody thing, you need to apply it in a way where it's like helpful to you. But when I feel myself getting too much in my head and I feel like, you know, I really need to get out of myself, I like start doing something physical. Like I start cleaning, I start cooking, I start organizing something. Like I start like, it's very, I have a Virgo moon. So the way I like ground my emotions is doing very textile, very like almost time consuming things. So it's almost like my brain is busy doing the things I'm doing instead of, you know, being left to think too much, because that's what my brain does on its own. It just thinks way too freaking much. So when I start doing things actively and moving around, for some of you it could be exercise, for others it could be like, you know, an actual hobby you have that's physical, whether that's like, you know, art is physical, it's like a hand thing, doing like dance, whatever you have that's like a big hobby for you that like grounds you, as long as it's not something that puts you further out into space. You don't need more space right now, you need grounding. If you can do that and like get back into your body, it can help you be objective, because you can't really be objective if you're floating off in space and like feeling all delulu and all that mess. So the best thing to do is, you're feeling really out of sorts, try to do something that seems small. It doesn't take like a crazy amount of brain power, but it's like it helps you think about something else. Hey, Ladybug.